Anyway, my name is Manny Martinez. I'm here on the Facebook Live for the Kickin Cancer movement on their Facebook page. Today, they've asked me to talk about reducing financial stress, getting clarity, taking control, and taking action. It's part of a series that the Kickin Cancer movement has with different professionals to address um, ways that people can reduce the stress in their lives and improve their lives and hopefully reduce the effects that it has on things like cancer and other things that other ailments that people have from time to time. Anyway, my name is Manny Martinez. Today's March 30th, and we are live as of 1:12 p.m. on March 30th. In terms of the agenda today, I'll just give you a brief introduction of who I am. Also talk about some sources rather of financial stress, some effects that financial stress has on our everyday lives, um, how to deal with the stress, and different tools that you can use that are at your disposal. And then we'll conclude with some final remarks. Again, my name is Manny Martinez. A little bit about who I am. I grew up in New York City a long time ago. I'm known to say "How you doing" during different networking events and chamber meetings. And Baron Robertson, who's the executive director of the Kicking Cancer movement, helped me to develop that saying. I attended Columbia University. I have actually an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering. Although I didn't use it per se, it did teach me a lot in terms of problem solving, which I'm using in my career to this day. I attended New York University, where I graduated with an MBA in International Finance and Economics. And I've been in financial services for a very long time. It's actually over 31 years now. I did the calculation in my head earlier today. So I've been doing investment banking around the world and the U.S. as well for a very long time, helping initially multinational companies and now families and individuals to get their financial houses in order. I've been living in Oregon for the last 3.5 years, helping people with financial planning, asset protection, investments, retirement planning, tax strategies, etc. All things that often we put off for too long in the future until we need to. And I'm currently the president of my own financial planning firm. It's called Cooper Wealth Strategies LLC. And through that firm, our agents are able to help various families with insurance, investments, and retirement. Now, what are some of the sources of financial stress? It is one of the most common stressors in life, especially in modern life. Some of the main causes of financial stress are loss of work, escalating debt, sometimes as a result of loss of work, unexpected expenses. I think I read a statistic not too long ago that 80% of families can't withstand a $400 unexpected expense, and that causes stress, even if that expense doesn't come. It causes stress knowing that if it does come, you can't step up. Illness is a big one. Unexpected illness, especially now with people getting COVID and having lost their jobs, um, unexpected medical bills, co-pays, all of that can lead to financial stress as well due to illness. And just the general, what I call yuckiness of being in this global pandemic, just knowing that it's out there, knowing that it can affect us, um, being stuck at home all day long and working from home, as nice as it is in some respects, it does lead to lack of social interaction with people. So that's also another cause of stress. What are some of the effects of financial stress? And these effects can be crippling. Everything from mental health, physical health, just gaining weight and not being as active or as flexible. Um, it's impacting our relationships with our loved ones, our husbands and wives, and kids, and parents, and coworkers. All of those have been affected not only by the pandemic, but also by the financial effects of the pandemic on our everyday lives. So the overall quality of life, including sleep, self-esteem, energy levels, just not having the energy to do all the things that we used to do because we're not as active. All of that has been impacted by not just the pandemic, but again, also financial stress in general. Now, how can financial stress leave us feeling? Not good, as I say here, but it can lead to anger. We feel angry, we feel ashamed of not having our financial houses in order. We're fearful of the future in terms of whether we can retire as planned or send our kids to college as we promised them. Um, the overall tension in our lives increases because of that. We become argumentative and upset and mad all the time. Mood swings can occur as a result as well. And overall, we tend to see an increase in anxiety and depression when uh, when we are in a financially stressful situation. Now, those are the problems. Those are the effects. Now let's turn to some solutions, things that we can do. How do we deal with financial stress? The number one thing, the most important thing is to talk to somebody. I don't care if it's a friend, if it's a life coach. And by life coach, I just don't mean a business coach or anything like that, but it can also be a pastor or priest or someone that you can confide in who can give you some guidance. It can be a trusted family member, a parent, a child, a distant relative, as long as they're a good listener and won't judge you. There are support groups out there. Look up meetup groups that meet up every month to talk about these kinds of issues. They're out there for you. You can also talk to a professional advisor like myself, financial planner, financial advisor, a financial coach. We go by different names, but somebody who does this for a living can also be a great resource if you don't have any of the other um, types of people at your disposal. Point is to talk to someone because one of the main stressors in life is not having an outlet, not having someone to talk to, someone that can listen to your issues and give you some guidance. And even if they don't give you guidance, just being able to vent to that person becomes therapy in and of itself. So those are very important those are very important people to have in your life. Step two, once you've talked to someone and you get that release of stress, you have to do next is take inventory. For many people, this is the hardest step. Just listing out exactly what is currently the situation. By that I mean listing all your income, not just how much you make in terms of at the job, but also if you get rental income, if you get child support or alimony, if you have a side hustle or a side job. Make sure you have all those incomes listed out so you know how to spend that income on the things that are important. Step two is to track all your expenses or spending, things that you know of and things that you may not realize. It's great to go through not just the credit card statements to see what you're spending money on, but also your bank statements. Sometimes you use a debit card, or sometimes there are automatic payments that are being made for things like, TV channels and automatic payments for all sorts of things like, food delivery and all that stuff. So make sure you track all of that spending, all of those expenses. Third step is to take inventory of all your debt, mortgage, credit cards, student loans, personal loans. That last one, personal loans. Sometimes we borrow money from a family member or friend, and we forget that that's something that you owe. And even if you don't realize it, that does cause friction between you and the person that you borrowed the money from if you never have it in your plans to pay them back. So make sure you have personal loans as well as these other more conventional loans listed out so that you know that you need to keep track of them and plan for repaying those loans back. Um, Make note of all of your spending patterns and triggers. Like, are you buying stuff at the takeout at the checkout line? Are you constantly buying, magazines and other stuff that you don't necessarily need for your everyday living, but can add up over time? Are you constantly, spending money on stuff that you don't need to be spending money on? And what are the triggers that lead you to do that? Is it boredom? Is it depression? Is it just having something to take your mind off of the everyday um, things of life that weigh you down? But make sure you understand those patterns and triggers, because then we can start to plan for how to work through those when they come up in the future. Next step is to make small changes. We all like to, have everything be 100% different tomorrow, but that never works. That's never a good plan. The better plan is to make small changes that you can build on every single day. cutting down on one expense, cutting down on another one later, once you get used to it. If we make too many big changes, then it's not going to be you're not going to be as successful as you could otherwise. Next step is to stop impulse buying. Many of us stay up late when we don't have work or anything like that. We stay up late, we see a TV commercial, and next thing you know, we're off buying whatever they're selling. That's called impulse spending, or impulse buying. Make sure you have a check on that you don't spend money on things that aren't necessary and are not a priority in life. And then finally, go easy on yourself. We're living through the worst of times in our lifetime, and we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to not be perfect. So give yourself a break is the key there, so that you don't overwhelm yourself. Step three is make a plan and then stick to that plan. Identify what the problem is. Once you lifted out your incomes and your expenses and what you owe, make sure that you identify where the problem is coming from. Once you identify the problem, then you can devise a solution to the problem. And it's not possible to do that unless you've actually identified it in the first place. Then the third step is to take some massive action. And I don't mean massive as in big, I just massive as in a lot of it. You need to make sure that you pay back your debt, that you reduce your debt, that you increase your income, that you're conscious of your spending. All that requires action. So take that action. It's not just good enough to list everything out and make the plan, but actually the key is to take action based on that plan. Then there's all sorts of different technologies out there that can help you monitor your progress. Things like Quicken or Mint, which is free, or by speaking with a financial advisor, we typically have software available that can help you get on and stay on track. But the key is there's so much going on in today's modern life that it's hard to keep everything straight just by writing things down on a scrap piece of paper. You need technology, whether it's a spreadsheet or something like Quicken or Mint, etc., to keep track of the plan and how you're making progress towards that plan. And again, don't get derailed by setbacks. You will have setbacks and you will take a step back. But the point is, you take two steps forward for every step back. And in the end, you'll be making progress. But don't beat yourself up because there will be setbacks. It's just part of the plan, um, in making progress towards de stressing financially. Step four is to create a monthly budget. This is the key because if we don't know the numbers, we can't plan around them. So include everyday expenses, things you spend on money on every day, whether it's food or drinks or clothing or utility bills and all of that. Make sure you have those listed out. But then there are other expenses that are maybe annualized expenses, whether they be insurance costs or other things that may come up on an annual basis. The key there is to take that amount that's paid annually and divide it by 12 to get a monthly amount, and then allocate money, set aside money to account for those expenses. Because if not, then by the time 12 months comes around and that bill comes due and you don't have money saved up for it, then you're going to be behind the eight ball again. Likewise, plan for unexpected expenses. Set aside a little bit of money every month so that if something comes up unexpectedly, whether the AC breaks down or you need to make a car repair or anything else, that you have that money set aside so you don't get into the cycle of having to put it on a credit card and pay high interest rates and never be able to pay back that debt in time. Set up automatic payments with either the credit card company or your bank account, which is even better, for any things that get deducted automatically. This allows you to avoid late fees. I'm a fan of having electronic fund transfers from the bank instead of from the credit card, because if the money gets taken out of the bank account, then it doesn't incur any fees. You don't have a buildup of a balance like you would on a credit card, which can charge you anywhere from 15 to 30% interest rates. The next step is to prioritize important items, and that's housing, food, electric bill, and things that keep you safe and warm and be able to continue to take steps forward. The cable bill, having HBO and going out, to restaurants, 4 times a week. Those are not as high priority, obviously, as making sure that you pay your mortgage or rent, you put food on the table for yourself and your family, and you have the core um, utility bills like electricity paid for. So make sure you prioritize what's most important in your life. And then finally, explore opportunities for additional income streams. That's something that's not talked about too often, but it's very important. And that is, make sure that if you need to, um, generate more money, that you look at opportunities for generating additional income through other sources. There are all sorts of different ways to do that, which can be talked about uh, later. Step five is to manage your overall stress. And by that, I mean, how can you alleviate some of the stress that you feel on an everyday basis? Number one, keep moving, get moving. You know, not just necessarily exercise, although that's the best thing to do, but even taking a walk, stretching, standing up after a long Zoom meeting or conference call, standing up and stretching and just getting your body moving is really important. Next, you know, a, a, look into different relaxation techniques. Some people like to go to a chiropractor or get a massage or do yoga. Anything that helps you to de-stress. It could be as simple as sitting down for 10 minutes and just drifting off and letting your brain relax for a little bit, or doing some affirmations. There are many ways that you can relax that don't require a gym membership or doing anything too crazy. As importantly is getting enough sleep. Most people need 7, 8 hours of sleep, and most are instead getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep, and that may be okay for one day, but over time it does create um, a more stressful situation for yourself. Also, eat right. Not just eating the right types of foods, but making sure you eat throughout the day so you don't have these highs and lows in your energy level from time to time when you go hours without eating and then all of a sudden eat a ton of food that can really weigh you down. And the last thing, which again I don't hear a lot about a lot, but I know is very useful, is to show gratitude. I happen to have a gratitude journal that I write in. I'm gonna lie if I say every day, but most days of the week I do, and that's basically waking up in the morning and writing down what you're grateful for, and then after a long day, writing out what you're grateful for that happened throughout that day. And it's amazing how much showing gratitude uh, uh, how much help that can be in alleviating financial stress. And by gratitude, I don't mean necessarily the big things, but sometimes it's the little things. It's a smile that you got from your daughter, or it's the fact that you got to pay a bill on time this month. Any little thing that you can show gratitude for is going to help you to alleviate financial stress. Those are the 5 tips that I have for you today. The bonus tip for today that sometimes is overlooked is the use of life insurance in financial planning and financial de-stressing. Now, for people who don't know what life insurance is, it's a policy, it's a contract that can help your family maintain their standard of living if something were to happen to you or to the breadwinner, whoever that may be. It can help them to address any financial obligations that they may have, any dreams that they may have that requires funding, whether it's college or buying a house or paying off debt, etc. It can also protect the family if there's a loss of income from the main person who is responsible for paying all the bills. And because of that, it helps the family secure their future. Um, and that's again, if you think about it, if you know that that's going to be the case, it creates it's a financial de-stressor by default. Life insurance is a policy also can help with retirement and tax-free cash accumulation. It's something that most people don't understand that for permanent life insurance, it can actually help you to save for the future in a tax-free way. And today's life insurance policies, unlike yesterday's life insurance policies, can also be used while you are living, which is something I want to focus on for the remaining couple of minutes that we have here. And by that, I mean it can help you to pay medical bills in the event that you become seriously ill. Now, how does that happen? Through the use of something called living benefits. Now, what are living benefits? Living benefits in a life insurance policy can accelerate the death benefit while you're living, which is why they're called living benefits. Now, there are qualifying illnesses that allow you to do that. The first is a terminal illness. That's the doctor says you may pass away in the next 12 to 24 months, depending on the state. You can actually use the death benefit of a life insurance policy while you're living to take care of any final expenses or to take a trip around the world or to help the family with any unpaid medical bills so you don't leave the family in the hole. Another thing that these policies cover is a chronic illness. And that's basically where you cannot do two of the six activities of daily living, like bathing and continence and dressing, eating, toileting, and transferring. If you can't do two of those six activities of daily living, you can actually tap into your life insurance policy while you're living to pay for certain expenses. Um, a critical illness is anything from ALS, blindness, cancer, which of course is relevant to this discussion, given that I'm on the Kickin Cancer Facebook Live here. But other things too, like renal failure and heart attack and stroke and other things like sudden cardiac arrest. And then critical injury, comas and severe burns and brain injuries. All of those things are covered. If you get diagnosed with those, you can actually tap into your life insurance policy if you have that kind of life insurance policy, which again alleviates the stress of what happens if, right? What happens if the stuff happens to you? It's going to be bad enough that you have the illness. It's going to be worse when you can't make you don't have the financial resources to cope with those. And the key thing here at the bottom is you can use these benefits for any purpose. Once you're diagnosed with an illness and you can have access to your life insurance policy, you can use the benefit for any reason that you want. In conclusion, here are the five steps plus the bonus tip that I included there at the end. Number one, talk to somebody. Number two, take inventory of all your income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. Number three, make a plan and then stick to that plan. That's the key thing there. Number four, create a monthly budget. And again, to the extent that you have any annual expenses, make sure you divide those by 12 so you can create a monthly allocation for those. And then plan for obviously any unexpected expenses as part of that process. And then manage your overall stress. That's again through eating right, exercising, moving, and then having a plan that you stick to. And then finally, consider buying life insurance to protect your family. As a financial advisor, I've seen too often where families have a death in the family and now they're going through a GoFundMe process or hitting up friends on Facebook Live. That's never a good thing. So make sure that you have proper planning in place through the use of life insurance and other things as well, not just life insurance, but that's the main one that can help you with unexpected issues financially. With that, I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity. Thank you to Baron Robinson and the Kickin Cancer Movement for letting me share my thoughts on ways to deal with and cope with financial stress. My name again is Manny Martinez. If you'd like some more information about some of these tips or how to work with a financial professional, my number is here. It's 503-217-4150, or you can email me at manny@copawealthstrategies.com. Again, manny@copawealthstrategies.com. I want to thank you for your time. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you soon.